Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Today we are clearing some fence rows and I could use some advice. That's coming up after this. Well, welcome back. This fencing is what we're working on. And so this has been a long project since we purchased this farm. The fence all over had issues in specific spots. There was a lot of good fence, but none of it was perfect. So everything needed a little bit done. This particular line, you can see over here, this is a bean field, or what used to be a bean field. And this is the line between me and my neighbor. So my neighbor rents out his land to another farmer that cash crops. And so this fence line has taken a little bit more work because I'm also dealing with a neighbor trying to be friendly. Last year we rebuilt what you can see here behind me. And so this half of it I redid last year. It did not have a lot of trees, did not have a lot of grubs, but it was a lot of old rotten board fence. And so we completely redid this fence, tore everything out, kept good post, put posts back in. We now have high tensile fence, very nice fence. He's very happy with it. I'm happy with it. We also built the gate that you can see there and cleaned this ditch out some. And then that electric fence charger hutch that you've probably seen some past videos, or house, whatever you want to call it. That's where our power ties in, and then it goes across this gate and really feeds the rest of our farm. But we've got the other half to do now, and this is where I need help. This half of the fence has been a wooded tree line, and I particularly like it. I want a tree break, especially from these guys over here that spray chemicals. I really want a nice windbreak. Although south is that way, I don't get a lot of eastward winds coming in. So it's not a huge help, but it does help with some shading. And I would like to clean this up. And the biggest thing is there's no fence here. And so it was all grubs and briars and grown up. And you can see I've started to kind of work at it, cleaning it up and making it look nice. My neighbor is really particular as far as about what he wants. He wants it to look nice. He wants to be able to mow it and weed it, even though he's elderly and he cannot do it. And he doesn't want to spray it, which I'm glad. I don't want to spray it either. But he wants to rip it all out. He wants a dozer to come in, and he's willing to pay for that part of it. And he wants to rip this whole tree line out and make it look like the other end, because he doesn't want to deal with down limbs and he doesn't want to weed and all that kind of stuff. I've offered to do that labor for him. So I've taken that part out of the equation. But, you know, as any man who tends to do stuff on their own, you don't like to rely on somebody else. So I understand his hesitation there to rely on me to keep it looking nice for him. So the question is, what do I do here? What is the best situation so that you can have all the information before you give me your answers and your advice? This is kind of a good representation of what we were working with. This is what I still have left to clean. You can see brambles, briars, there's some trees, some dead stuff, some live stuff. We've got a lot of pretty good trees down through here, but about a third of them were dead. Either they were ash or they're just old dead trees from being hit. And the neighbor, they didn't come through and clean with a chainsaw. They went very quickly with a bucket and just broke branches off, jammed them back into the fence row, and went along, you know, with the way they were going. And so there's a lot of brush just pushed into the fence row. It's never been properly cleaned. It's probably been neglected for 20 years. And we also have a lot of old, rotten, broken fence. This is woven wire that's grown into trees and that kind of stuff. And so you can see here, we've got dead trees like this behind me. And so my original goal, so you can see the train of my thought, my original goal was to go through, one, cut everything that was dead. It's dead, it's not gonna be useful to us. Get rid of everything that was dead, get rid of as much briars and brambles as I could in order to put high tensile fence back in through here. The high tensile fence that I put back in is going to be barbed wire. It's not going to be electrified, so I don't have to keep the trees and stuff off from grounding. So that you're aware of that, I'm not worried about grounding fence out when I put this fence back. It's going to be 4 or 5 strands of barbed wire that's stretched tight through high tensile with tensioners that I can tighten over time. I can even use the trees that are here as fence posts or not. Give me your opinion on that. I can put in T-posts, metal T-posts only, use that. I have spots where I can hand dig and put in wood posts if that's better. But he wants the fence directly back on the property line. That's my other issue, or I could just come this way 6 feet and put a fence, leave me a pass down through there to mow, but he wants the fence on the property line. So that's another, issue that I have to do and have to fight with and get it to make this correct. The other thing I'm doing, as you can see, is if I'm leaving this tree, so I have planned to leave this tree, but I have trimmed off a few limbs here. So if you can see that, my goal was just to trim off some limbs that hit my tractor when I bush hogged this ditch line down. And so eventually I hope to just graze it. But right now I was bush hogging to keep this water flow to go out. So I'm trimming off all the limbs that hit the tractor. Okay, so you can see that. So this is where I'm at. I'm cutting trees that are dead. I'm trimming limbs that are high. I'm cutting trees if they're so close, like a group of 3 or 4, that none of them will survive. So if I take 1 or 2 out, leaving 2 that could become good trees for shade and a windbreak. Personally, I don't care if this grows back up into briars and brambles once I have a good fence in it for it to grow on. Now, it'll only last another 20 years and we'll be doing this again, but cows won't go through it. And that is the main thing. I have to keep cows from going into beans and towards a state route. So you can see what we've cleaned so far. I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty clean. It's never going to be weed eated and manicured like a golf course. That is not my goal, no matter what his goal is. I can't let my neighbors back me down into a corner, but I have to be friendly, and I like this guy. I do. I really like him. He has not been spoken of highly by the other people, saying he's hard to deal with. But as far as I'm concerned, their opinion sucks. This guy is awesome. He's been very kind to us. He talks around things, but he's very kind. And so I'm going to keep that relationship with him the best that I can and continue to try to work with him. And so I think you kind of have to be like that with your neighbors. But as far as fencing goes, do I let him take out all the trees and put the fence back and then me plant more trees on my side if I want? Do I go through cleaning it like I am, stringing fence, use trees as fence posts, use T-posts? What do I use? How would you put it back up? Or do I, hey, don't let it grow back up. Keep the brambles off of it. Keep your fence good. It'll make it last longer. Give me those opinions. Should I let it grow back up? What should I do? I'm really looking for some advice here. What would you do in this situation? How would you build this fence? Is it, worthwhile to have a nice fence here that's electrified? I don't think so. My goal is to eventually buy that property, and that's why I'm being so nice with our neighbor all the time, doing as much for him as I can. He doesn't have any children. It's another benefit to me. Not that I'm happy about that. If I can be his family, that's what I want to be. And so tell me, what should I do with this fence? The other thing I guess I didn't think about was, have I already screwed up? Let me know. Say, you're an idiot, you should have left it this way. If I should have left it like this, put temporary fencing on this side, which is what I've done for the last year. I put a temporary line when they were in this alley. This is just an alley. It's like 30 feet across here, 25 feet. It's just an alleyway that gets me to the other paddocks. I get 3 days of grazing a year, maybe 4 days of grazing a year out of this, but it gets trampled. This is what keeps me from driving through my pastures to get to my other paddocks. So it is not a very valuable resource as far as grazing or baling, but it is very valuable as far as preventing me from damaging the rest of my farm. So should I have just left it like this and used temporary fencing for the 4 days that I was in here, called it quits, and been done with it? If I'm an idiot and I've already screwed up, let me know that as well. Well, there you have it. I've never done a video like this. I've never done a video where I asked you for your advice. So I'm really hoping to see a lot of comments. Be as harsh as you want. I can take it. Military guy, you're not. You can call me whatever you want to call me. Let me know what you think, though. I would appreciate positive advice as far as do it this way and here's why. That would, to benefit me. If you're like, you just want to make a comment, you're an idiot, quit asking for advice from YouTube, that's fine. But if somebody could help me and say, this is what I would do and why, or perhaps you're a YouTuber and you want to link me a video about here's how I did it when we were cleaning fence rows and why, I'll be glad to watch your video and give you some time if you can show me what you would do and why. So I appreciate everybody watching, and I appreciate the advice that's about to come. Thank you so much.